Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to cross the Øresund once again, and we're going to go back to Copenhagen in Denmark, which, as I've told you before, is one of the best craft beer cities in the world, at least in my opinion. There's a great selection of stuff over there. For this review though, we are going to visit another new brewery who I have never tried anything from before. So for this one we are going to go to Amager in the south of the city, and we're having a taste of my first beer from Caleidoskope Brewing Company. This one is the Purple Amalgam. It comes in at 6% ABV, and this is a New England hazy style IPA, this one. So I picked up this beer from Glasbanken.se. And this was one of 3 Caleidoskope beers they had, if memory serves me correctly. One of the other ones was called Orange Circle, and I was very tempted to get that. As you'll know if you've watched the channel before, I love the orangey leaning IPAs, but this one sold out very quickly, and then it came back in stock just in time for me making my order actually. So I decided to go with this one because I thought maybe this would be the one that was a little bit harder to get. But I will review the Orange Circle for you when I get across to Copenhagen again and can find a can of it, of course. But very curious to see what this one has in store for us. As I've said, the quality of craft beer that you're going to find in Copenhagen is very high, so to survive these guys have got to be good, so I'm hoping that they are of a very good standard. We'll just need to see. So as I say, very curious to see how this one turns out, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. So yeah, anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Caleidoskope Brewing Company. This is the very first time I'm trying one of their beers, as I mentioned. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to very regularly because I am so close to Denmark. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Caleidoskope Brewing then, on to my brewery notes. So Caleidoskope Brewing, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in Amager in the southern part of Copenhagen, quite close to the airport, and this is the brewing project of the owners of Peders Bar. So the 4 men behind this company are Jonas Kobero, Rasmus Roskvist, Anders Ising and Brian Madsen, and they opened the Peders Bar back in December of 2016, and it's garnered a very good reputation for being a good beer bar, and you'll find it actually quite close to the central station in Copenhagen. It looks as if it's maybe about a 10-minute walk or so away actually, and that's being generous for pace. I would rock it there in about 5 minutes because I just go crazy when I'm walking. But anyway, as I said, the brewery can be found in Amager, to the south of the city, and they currently have a 500 litre brew house with 2,000 litres of fermentation capacity, and this probably will be expanded over the next little while. So Anders and Brian are the 2 brewers, and Anders actually studied at the Scandinavian Brewing School, which is part of Copenhagen University if I remember correctly, and as of May 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have released 8 different beers under the Caleidoskope Brewing Company name. The name Caleidoskope apparently is taken because they say that they're playing with different combinations of ingredients in the same way that a kaleidoscope plays with different shapes and colours and stuff like this, and they basically just changed the letters C and K around for fun apparently. So yeah, that's all the information I can really tell you about Caleidoskope Brewing Company for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. I'll put the Peders Bar website for you in the description below. I need to go and check out that bar actually. It's one that I didn't know about in Copenhagen, but yeah, you can check that out. And you know, as I say, hopefully maybe I can go and do a little out and about filming at Peders Bar one time and try a few more of the Caleidoskope beers on tap or something like this. But yeah, as I say, another very new Danish craft brewery, this one, and hopefully they do well. I mean, recently we had Slowburn starting up as well, and I was very impressed with their Octopills. I need to get a can of that and review it for you on the channel, and of course they've got several IPAs and things like that as well. But yeah, Slowburn are another one of the new starters in Copenhagen to keep an eye on. Of course you've got the old boys like Amager, Toil, Mikkeller, of course, and then you know, Evil Twin actually started in Copenhagen as well, but then you've got the slightly newer ones like Flying Couch, Gamma Dry and Bitter. They've been around for a good couple of years now, and now you're getting the newer guys like Caleidoskope and Slowburn starting up. So there's a very, very thriving beer scene in Copenhagen, and I really do recommend that if you're watching from abroad, Copenhagen is one of the places that you really need to go if you're interested in your craft beer. So yeah, let's leave it at that for the history part of the video. If you want to learn more, as I say, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages for more information on all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. And I should actually say a thank you to whoever runs the social media for Caleidoskope Brewing Company, because it was very difficult to find information on this brewery, and whoever I was talking to on Instagram was the one that gave me all of the information that I've just told you. So to whoever manages Caleidoskope Brewing Company, a big thank you for all the information for this video. So anyway, the beer itself, this one is a 6% New England IPA. It's hopped with Simcoe, Citra and Centennial, and then it's dry hopped with Mosaic, Citra and Amarillo. It's got a malt base of Golden Promise, pale malts, Munich malts, wheat, malted wheat and oats, and the ale yeast strain in this one is WLP 066, which if I remember rightly is a London Fog yeast strain. So yeah, that's the technical information on the beer. Now we can get on to the tasting of this one then. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open up. There you can see it is pretty cool actually. The orange circle artwork was really cool. I don't know if this is meant to be the outline of the symbol, the kaleidoscope symbol on the top here, but you can see it actually has a snowflake as well. But yeah, purple amalgam. Amalgam, of course, it's kind of taken from the word amalgamation, but it's also the name of an alloy where mercury is the parent metal in it. So yeah, I remember that from my chemistry days. The mercury amalgams, those are quite interesting things to play with. They were used in teeth fillings, if I remember rightly. They were used in dentistry quite a lot because I think they were very, very hard. So yeah, because mercury of course on its own is rather poisonous, but if you mix it with stuff then it's okay. So it's the same with arsenic actually. If you mix arsenic with stuff it's actually quite good for you. It's a beneficial thing, but if you have arsenic on its own it will kill you. So yeah, 6% IPA this one. Lots of nice hops in it. The hops again, Mosaic, Citra, Amarillo in the dry hopping, and then Simcoe, Citra and Centennial in the kettle. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. A 440ml can, this one, and I'll tell you straight away when you open this up, it smells very, very good. You can smell the Mosaic, and I think the Centennial coming out of this one as well. Lovely, like juicy tangerine oranges and a bit of that kind of bright lemony citrusy zest that you'd expect of the Centennial as well. So yeah, Mosaic gives you those lovely orangey notes. So yeah, as you can see and as you'd expect with this one, it looks, oh, that's weird. One side of my glass is very clean and the other side apparently is a little bit dirty. So, oh, it's fading away now, it should be alright. But yeah, that looks very, very nice, and this is pretty much what you would expect from a New England IPA. In terms of its colour, I would describe this one as being a little bit like a kind of mango-y, passion fruity type juice colour. This is one of the more kind of richer ones. Some of the ones you can get can be very, very pale, like a sort of pineapple juice or something like that, but this one definitely has a little bit of richness to the colour. You could see there was about a half finger of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head on this one. I didn't think this one was pure white. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. There was just a little patch of bubbles over here on this side when I poured the beer, so one bit of the glass I've obviously missed when I've been cleaning it, but yeah, it looks very, very nice, and nothing overly surprising about the appearance of this beer when you consider, you know, when you consider how what style and things it is. If I put my fingers behind the glass there, you can see there is a good degree of haze to this one. It's the wheat and the oats, of course, that give you the haziness to the beer, and a little bit from the other malts as well, but mainly the wheat and the oats. So yeah, looks very, very nice. So nothing surprising about the appearance of this beer. The head you can see is faded away just to be a very thin foamy layer. I wonder if that means the wheat content is a little bit lower in this, because usually it's the wheat that helps you maintain the head in the beer. But yeah, let's have a little look at the aroma then and see how we get on. I have to say that's really nice. So straight away with this one, you can smell the malt base comes across as very smooth, but also really quite sweet. So you can smell that white bready base, there's no real debating that. You can smell a little bit of the wheaty notes at the back of the nose, but really I think it leans towards a very smooth, oaty kind of thing, and it also has a nice kind of biscuity quality to it. It's like McVitie's digestive biscuits that you get out of this one, and that'll be the golden promise, I think, that's going to give you that. Yeah, this one is. This one, I think that the aroma of this I really, really like. It's got a lovely oily juiciness to it, but it's also got a very, very kind of sweet malt base. And if you've watched the channel before, you will know that I'm a sucker for a beer that's got a little bit of sweetness to it. I love my IPAs just to have a bit of sweetness in the backbone, if you like, but I also like it when they're nice and oily and fruity as well. That kind of goes back to my love of the West Coast IPAs, but the aroma of this, I have to say, is really, really very nice. So like I say, when you smell this one, you do get a little bit of wheat towards the back of the nose. You can smell some nice kind of oaty, white bready smoothness to this one. There's a little bit of a sweet kind of McVitie's digestive kind of thing, which is really, really nice. I don't know if it's quite caramelly or not. I think there might be a little teeny hint of a caramel in this one, but yeah, mainly a sort of biscuity, McVitie's digestive sort of thing coming out of this one. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, let's look at that side of it. There's a teensy little bit of earthiness to this one, which will be the mosaic that's giving you that. But other than that, the green side of the hops, I think, really leans towards quite a spicy, floral, aromatic side of things. I mean, with all the hops that is in this one, it's you know, they're all quite high alpha acid hops. You know, Mosaic is about 14% alpha acid. Centennial, I think, is about 12 or 13. Citra is, you know, it can be up to, I think it can be like 14 to 16, 13 to 16, something like that. What else is in it? Which other ones? Amarillo can be like a 12% alpha acid hop. So yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why I like the aroma of this one so much, is because of the Amarillo. I love the aroma of Amarillo, and Simcoe, of course, is a sort of 12%-ish. Alpha acid hop as well, so it's not surprising that you're getting a lot of kind of spicy floral aromatic notes out of this one. But yeah, a little bit of lighter grassiness there, but I think the green side of the hops kind of goes into the background because of the prominence of the malts and the fruitiness in the beer. But yeah, take a bit of time and enjoy that aroma, because I think that is really very, very nice actually. So yeah, the malt and the green side of the hops are really very nicely done. On the fruity side of it then, I think there is actually a big orangey presence to this one. That'll be the Amarillo and the Mosaic giving you that. But it's quite well balanced actually. You do get a little bit of the kind of darker tropically fruits, the sort of slightly more sour tropical fruits, if you like, from the Simcoe, and from they'll be from the Citra in this one as well. So the Simcoe will give you that kind of that lovely sort of almost milky kind of passion fruity quality. It'll be the Citra, I think, that's giving you the more pungent notes actually. But there is a wee bit of mango coming out of this one as well, so the passion fruit and the mango do give you a little bit of tropical fruity softness to it. But I'd say this one really leans towards the oily oranges. You can really smell the Amarillo in this one for me, and you can get, and obviously the Mosaic, when it's got its own tangerine elements, that's just backing it up. You do get a little bit of the kind of citrusy zesty thing, and that would be the Centennial that's going to give you that. Centennial is a very kind of lemony hop from what I remember. But yeah, I think this one really leans a bit towards the soft tropicals, and there is quite a bit of orange to this one actually. So yeah, I think it's a very, very inviting aroma. As I say, the fruits tend to be a little bit, they come across as a little bit oily actually, but at the same time it's got a very sweet malty backbone, this beer, I think. So it smells lovely. Take a bit of time to enjoy that before you drink the beer, but we're going to taste this one now and see how we get on. So this one is the Purple Amalgam 6% New England IPA with Mosaic, Citra and Amarillo in the dry hopping stage, and Citra, Centennial and Simcoe in the kettle hopping stage. So yeah, let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. That's solid. That's another really, really solid beer actually. I like how this goes together, so I'm going to just say straight away, thumbs up to Caleidoskope for this one. First impression of it is that it's very smooth and very oily. It's one of the more smooth and oily New England IPAs that I've kind of come across. So I like that. I do like that about it. I do like the beer. I do like a slightly more oily mouthfeel, I have to admit. But I think that is nice. These guys, what I will say is, on the first impression of this beer, when this is one of the first ones that they've released, these guys are going to be fine. These guys will, you know, they're going to continue to get better and better and better, but if this is their starting point, then they are doing pretty damn well, I have to say. This makes me really curious to try the Orange Circle now as well, because I guess I wonder if just by the name Orange Circle it will be even more orangey leaning than this, but this is a really solid New England IPA, so I look forward to seeing how these guys progress. You know, these guys and Slow Burn are probably the two newest breweries in Copenhagen at the moment, and I was impressed with the West Coast IPA that I had from Slow Burn, and also the Octopils. I need to try one of their New Englands actually. I've pardon me, still not tried that. But yeah, let's try and break down the flavour of this one then. So what I would say is the malt base is quite oaty lean. This is definitely one of the more creamy, oaty type New Englands you're going to get. So if you like the likes of Treehouse and things like that, this one is kind of leaning towards the sort of stuff that they do, or the style of New England IPA that they do. So yeah, straight away with this one you can feel the nice, you can feel the sort of wheaty white bready notes. That just blankets the middle of your tongue, and the wheat in this one I would say is very smooth. If you go towards the back third of your tongue, you can get a little bit of a kind of bitey, you can get a little bit of the kind of bitiness from the wheat in the back third of the tongue. You can just feel a little bit of that slightly spicy character from the wheat there, but as you come further forward into the middle of the palate, you do get more of the oaty creaminess out of this one. The oats really kind of dominate the very kind of centre of the palate. In the middle of the tongue you've got a nice little bit of a, you do have a nice little bit of a kind of sweeter quality to the beer as well. That's when you get the kind of biscuity notes. It'll be the Golden Promise that's giving you that, of course. The Golden Promise is the one that's going to give you these kind of notes, but it did have Munich malts in it as well, from what I remember. So yeah, the Munich malts are the ones that are going to give you a bit of the smoothness to that kind of bready base as well. So like I say, back third of the tongue is definitely a little bit more wheaty and bitey. Middle third of the tongue is, you've got some really nice smoothness to it. You get the oaty kind of creaminess just sitting on top of that kind of white bready Munich malt base. Then in the very centre of your tongue you can get a wee touch of caramel to it, but then as you move further out from it, it definitely gets a little bit more kind of, it definitely gets a little bit more like biscuity, and gets a little bit more kind of biscuity and sweet, in my opinion, actually, which I really quite like. And I would say that more and more that you drink of this one, the smoothness and the sweetness really kind of build up a little bit, actually. So yeah, the malt base I think does get smoother and slightly sweeter the further that you go into it. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you come further forward along the side of the palate, you can feel the earthiness builds up a little bit, and as you reach the kind of front corners of the palate, you've got a really nice kind of big floral aromatic quality out of the beer. It's got a very, very nice kind of, it's actually not as spicy as the aroma was going to give you the impression of, but it does have just a little touch of that kind of slightly spicy floral aromatic note. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy in my mind. So I really like how that aspect of the beer goes together. Behind the front curve of the tongue you've got that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters push their way out of the beer. And then you've got that, the fruity side of this beer I think is really very nice. It really is a very smooth and very kind of slick feeling New England IPA, this one. It's not high in bitterness. The IBUs aren't going to blow the head off you in this one, but we'll talk about that later. But the fruity side of this one I think is really well executed. So yeah, if you go towards the back of that front third of your tongue, which is where that oily bubble with all the fruity esters comes out, you do pick up the kind of darker tropical notes there. You do have a wee bit of grapefruity character, which will be coming from the citra, I would think. Then very quickly it evolves to become more passion fruity, and you can feel the darker passion fruit from the citra and the slightly softer passion fruit from the Simcoe. But then you start to get some of the kind of juicy mango from the citra as well, and then as you move further forward from that you start to get the kind of tangerines and the big oily oranges and stuff from the Amarillo and the mosaic that's in here. I do like that. It's almost like when you reach the first half of that front third of your tongue, the first sixth of your tongue if you like, that's where the nice kind of orangey, oily characters come out of the beer. Just behind the kind of front edge of the tongue, you will get a little bit of that kind of citrusy, zesty thing. It comes out a bit more in the aftertaste. That's where I think you get the Centennial out of this one. The Centennial gives you a little bit more of that kind of citrusy, zesty sort of thing, and it's quite nice how that lingers there. It mixes in with the kind of grassy part of the beer. The reason it will be coming out there on the very edge of the tongue is because it's been added as one of the early addition hops. So the whole thing with adding the hops into the brew is that if you add them early, usually an IPA is about a 90-minute boil, so usually if you add them at the very start, those are the hops that are going to give you the bitterness and things like that, and then the later you add them into the boil, the you know, the less impact they have on bitterness, but the more impact they have on flavour. It's a sort of trade-off, essentially. So yeah, so the dry hopping, when you do dry hopping, of course, it's aroma and flavour that you get out of those. So yeah, I think with the bitterness of this beer, I think they will have added a few hops in the beginning, just to build the bitterness up to give you the 30 IBUs, but I think the majority of the hops that are in this beer will have been added after the during the last half hour of the boil, because that's when you get the least kind of, you know, bitterness and things out of them. It's quite interesting that. I quite like I've looked at the graphs and things of exactly how that works. But yeah, as I say, this one, it's the fruitiness in the aroma, it's quite orangey and very orangey leaning, but I think in the flavour it's a little bit more balanced. The darker tropical fruits linger there into the aftertaste. You do get some of the oily orange as well, and you've got some of the really nice you know, you've got some of that nice little bit of citrusy zestiness in there as well. So overall, I think in terms of flavour, this is a really solid New England IPA for me. I think Caleidoskope have done a very good job here. So yeah, hopefully I can get a hold of the Orange Circle at some point for you soon and review that as well. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, we've kind of covered the flavour, I think, quite nicely there. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would describe this beer as being quite mid-bodied, maybe at the top end of mid-bodied. The carbonation is really smooth, the mouthfeel overall, like I say, is quite oily, but it feels quite slick at the same time. What would we say? Feels quite oily but quite slick. I would say that yeah, quite an oily, quite slick mouthfeel, this one. Top end of mid-bodied and just smooth carbonation. In terms of hoppy bitterness, I think this one's about 25 or 30 IBUs, probably 30 actually. I think 30 is a good number. Yeah, I think 30 IBUs. Malt base is really smooth. It's got a good degree of sweetness to it. The sweetness, I think, builds, but you've got a nice smooth base to it as well. And you've also got some nice juicy, you know, juicy, fruity kind of notes to this. So a little bit of the darker tropical fruit, and the darker tropical fruit comes out more in the aftertaste, but in the beginning you also have some nice kind of oily characters as well. So I mean, I really like how this goes together, and it's a really nicely done beer, this one, I have to say. So big thumbs up to Caleidoskope Brewing Company for this one. I think they've pulled off a really, really solid New England IPA here. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what these guys have to offer in the future, if this is where they're starting off. So yeah, this has been a really nice one to review, and I'm glad that I picked this beer up from Glassbank, and I'll need to get more from these guys the next time I make it over to Copenhagen. Hopefully the border opens up quite soon actually. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Purple Amalgam, a 6% New England IPA from Caleidoskope Brewing Company in Amager in the south of Copenhagen over in Denmark. Really, really nicely done, and I look forward to more beers from these guys. And again, thank you to whoever runs the social media for all the information on the brewery. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This is a really solid beer, a very new brewery in Denmark, and I hope that you guys get the chance to try this one as well. Make sure you check out Slowburn, who are another up-and-coming brewery in Copenhagen. Dry and Bitter, Gamma Brewing and Flying Couch are all really good, and then of course you've got the likes of Amager, Toil and Mikkeller, who are very well known, or well, yeah, very well known these days, I have to say. But yeah, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Caleidoskope Brewing Company, if this is your first time trying them as well. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Purple Amalgam 6% New England IPA from Caleidoskope Brewing Company in Amager, Copenhagen, Denmark. Slange, skål, cheers.